Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Ghost in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where you guys sent me in fan mail and or fan questions, and I do my best to go ahead and answer it. We're getting up there in numbers. Every time we do Dear Nero I mention, wow, I can't imagine how long this series has actually gone on for. It's been a very long time, and it's still going, and I like doing it. So what we got today is we got some Call of Duty Ghost here to start. And this gameplay is not exactly amazing. At the beginning I started off really slow. Then I started going on a really good kill streak, and then I just kind of turned the game around, and it was pretty nice. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And then we got some other random gameplays assorted at the end of this. It's not going to be the longest Dear Nero in the world. I would assume a lot of the questions this week were actually all the same question, which is going to be the first question regarding Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Most of the questions you guys sent in this week were revolving around that. So I'm going to answer a question about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare at the beginning, and then we're going to answer some other ones throughout the show. So I sit back, relax, and I hope you guys all enjoy. Let's hop into this with the first question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, are you looking forward to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and are you expecting something good out of this game? Nikki from California. So Nikki, I'm looking forward to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Of course, I always look forward to the next Call of Duty. I look forward to sequels to anything. I'm looking forward to a new Borderlands game. I'm looking forward to The Elder Scrolls Online, even though it's out for the PC. And apparently there's a lot of issues right now that's on the PC. I'm looking forward to that game coming out on the console so I can play with my friends because they don't have good PCs to play on. I look forward to a lot of games, and Advanced Warfare is definitely going to be one of them. Of course, I love Call of Duty. My channel's kind of built around Call of Duty, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. It's supposed to be the most ambitious Call of Duty ever, and that's what they're saying themselves. This is going to be the most ambitious Call of Duty ever, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. It really depends on what they plan on doing with it, as long as they don't go too far from the Call of Duty formula. So, of course, I'm looking forward. Do I expect something good? It's hard to expect things with Call of Duty, 'cause you never really know what's going to happen with it. I expect it to be Call of Duty, and that's really the expectations I have. I expect that it's going to be like Call of Duty. It's going to, stay true to what Call of Duty is, maybe be a bit different, but every game's a bit different, but at its core, I want it to feel like Call of Duty, and that's what I expect. And, if they stray away from that, then that could be pretty bad. That could be pretty bad, and that could also snowball the entire series, because Advanced Warfare, what they're calling it, is the most ambitious Call of Duty game ever, right? And they're trying out all these different things, and we see all that stuff in that trailer, which I hope are all for single player, like super jumping and Titan suits and things like that. If they have that in the multiplayer, and they change up Call of Duty so it's ridiculously different, we're basically making Call of Duty like Titanfall, like we're wall running and super jumping and have Titans and stuff in the multiplayer, and they do that, then that might pressure Treyarch to be like, oh, well, geez, now we gotta do something like that too. Then Treyarch might change up their entire formula. Then Infinity Ward will change up their entire formula. Then Call of Duty will stop being what it's been for the past 10 years, and then go into this whole new thing where it's completely different. And I don't think we want that. Some people want change in Call of Duty, but I don't think Titans and super jumping are exactly the changes you want, because at its core, Call of Duty is what it is. Every game going from Call of Duty 4 up to Call of Duty Ghosts, it has the same core feeling when you play. Of course, the kill streaks change and the maps change and the guns change, but for the most part, you have that same core feel when you play Call of Duty. You play it, you know this is Call of Duty. I hope that this next game has that, and if it does have that, then it's going to be good. So that's what I expect from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. That's what I hope is in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, this weekend I shot around 12 different guns. This included 4 different Glocks, a Beretta 92 FS, an M1 Garand, 2 black powder rifles, a Mosin Nagant, a 380 pistol, a 308 hunting rifle, 2 AR-15s, a 22, and more. I was wondering, how do you deal with kick with guns? And P.S. This is not my first time shooting. From Daniel in California. So Daniel, that's a wide variety of weaponry right there. I've always wanted to shoot an M1 Garand. I've never actually seen one in person, and I was thinking about buying one, but they're pretty expensive, so I want an M1 Garand. Those things, I love World War II weapons. You guys see the video, my cousin has that Mosin Nagant, and we were shooting that, and that thing's just so nice. Like on the gun itself, you can see engraved into the metal is the Soviet Union, like the red star and stuff is like engraved in there in 1945's, it was made in 1945, you can see that there, and like, I just love World War II weaponry, because the beauty of it is we're not making more of them. There's a set amount of each one of these World War II weapons out there. So if you find one in like a really good condition, it just, I love them. How do I deal with kick with guns when I shoot? So mainly I shoot rifles and occasionally shotguns. You got like a wide variety of stuff right there. I've never used like an AR of any kind. I've never actually shot a pistol, believe it or not. I've never shot a 1911. I've never shot Glocks. I've never shot anything like that. I've never actually used a handgun. So I don't know how the recoil works on that, but in terms of like shooting a rifle and shooting a shotgun, you know, all that kick goes right into your shoulder, and I don't know, I just deal with it. It's not really that bad. I mean, I hunt with the 30-30, which the kick isn't too bad on that. The Mosin Nagant's got quite a bit of kick. It's a World War II infantry rifle, and if you just make a couple changes to the bolt, it's a sniper rifle. So it does have a bit of kick to it, but the thing of it is just, you know, don't shoot a lot all at once. You shot, what'd you say, 12 guns in one day? Your shoulder's probably a bit sore. I don't think there's any way to avoid that. I don't care if you're, you know, the kind of person that's been, you know, shooting for years, or if it's your first time shooting. If you shoot 12 different guns at one time, including a couple AR-15s and a Mosin Nagant and M1 Garand and some black powder rifles and things like that, your shoulder's gonna hurt a little bit. That's just kind of how it goes. But that's pretty cool, man. It's definitely awesome you guys went out and got to shoot all that stuff. Pretty sweet. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, if you were offered $1 million to never play video games again or do YouTube again, would you take it? Jay from Florida. So Jay, I would not. $1 million sounds like a lot in your mind, like in your mind's eye as you're growing up. You're like, $1 million, $1 million. That's a lot of money, but it really isn't a ton of money. $1 million over the course of your lifetime is not a lot. And YouTube and video games are something that I want to do for the rest of my lifetime. Now, will YouTube be around my entirety of my lifetime? So many people are pessimistic. I think I'm using that word right. When they say, oh, YouTube's not going to be around forever. I'm always worried YouTube's going to shut down. I'm just going to be out on the streets. I'm not going to be able to do my job anymore, which is YouTube. And I never feel that way about YouTube. It's like, what could go bad? What could go wrong with YouTube that it would, you know, shut down or something, and that we would have to, you know, go and do something else? You know, I seen a video from a common YouTube hater. You guys may know who I'm talking about. He made a video saying, go get a job, YouTube nerds. YouTube's drying up. It's going down. I'm like, nah, man, it's your channel that's going down, not YouTube. Because believe me, and the people I talk to, the people in my inner circle of YouTubers, YouTube's going great. YouTube's going great. Last year was actually the most profitable year in the world for YouTube. And so it's going to keep going up. YouTube's going to keep getting better. Channels may go down. Channels may go south. But YouTube itself is going to stick around. And video games, man. Freaking, I love video games. That's the whole reason I'm on YouTube, is I freaking love video games. The whole reason I started doing YouTube is World at War back in 2008. You know, I wanted to find sniper tips. So I type in World at War sniper tips. I wanted to get better with the Mosin Nagant in that game. And I find Hutch's Yo Daddy, which you guys may know as Hutch. You guys may watch Hutch. He doesn't do much Call of Duty stuff anymore, but he was like the grandfather of Call of Duty back then. And I watched some sniper tip videos from him, and yeah, that really got me into YouTube. And I started watching XCal, and I started watching Blame Truth, and I started watching Wings of Redemption. Then from him, I started like watching Woody's Gamertag, and it just kind of started, you know, snowballing around all these different people. And I just really got into YouTube. I decided to make a channel myself, and I made some awesome friends like Mr. Boss for the Wind and Wildcat and Drifter, and it's like, this is awesome. And now here I am with my YouTube channel. Like, I love YouTube, I love video games, and I want to do both of them as long as possible. And if someone were to offer me $1 million up front right now to stop doing YouTube and not play video games, what is life for me without video games? What would I do with $1 million? You know, my day consists of making YouTube videos and playing video games every day, and I've been doing this for 3 years. You know, what would I do with $1 million? I'm like, I can't play video games? I have to go outside now? That sounds stupid. I want to stay here. And so, no, Jay, I would not take that $1 million to stop playing video games or doing YouTube. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, do you ever use the marksman rifles in Call of Duty Ghost? I have found that if you put the 3-round burst in a red dot sight, it's almost always a one-hit kill at any range. And I assume he means one burst kill. I think that the marksman rifles are often overlooked, but they're actually very good. Sam from New York. So Sam, when the game first came out, a lot of people complained about the marksman rifles. They're like, oh my god, these things are like two-hitting me across the map. They're really powerful. They're all this, that, and the other. But for the most part, I forget they're even in the game. When you say they're overlooked, I completely forget they're even a part of Ghost, because I don't use them myself, and no one I face uses them. Now, what is that one? The MR28, or it's M something 28, and I'm bad with the names, because like I say, I forget that this freaking rifles even exist. I played around with that one a bit when the game first came out, and it was pretty powerful. But for me, I just, with Call of Duty Ghosts, it's a game where if you sit in like one spot, you try and like stop and play defensively with, something of a rifle of that sort, you're not going to have, well, for me, I can't have any success doing that. If I were trying to slow down, like, okay, I'm just going to take over this building here in the game of domination, I'm just going to try and pick people off across the map as they come at me. Someone sees me that I don't see, and then they drop me with like a honey badger from the same distance I'm trying to use a marksman rifle on them. It's like, okay, well, everything melts you so quickly in this game, there's no point in me using this marksman rifle, I might as well go full auto. And for me, that's why I think the marksman rifles are pretty overlooked. They are powerful, but everything in Ghost is powerful. That's how Infinity Ward games work. Usually everything is really powerful, and everything melts you really quickly. And so marksman rifles are good, but they're really just a rebranded name of semi-automatic rifles. I mean, there's nothing really different between a marksman rifle and like the FAL or the M1A1 or any other semi-automatic rifle in the history of Call of Duty. Usually they're a 2 to 3 shot kill at any range. And where marksman rifles, 2 to 3 shot kills at any range that now have scopes. And so Call of Duty Ghosts was especially guilty of that, I think. They took things that were in previous Call of Duty games and they just kind of rebranded them into something different. For example, semi-automatic rifles are now marksman rifles, and pro perks, which used to give you a bunch of things per perk, are now just broken down into a million different little perks within the perk system. So it's basically semi-automatic rifles, and semi-automatic rifles, just like all the other Call of Duties, are often overlooked because in most situations, they're outclassed by full autos. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've been a long-time fan of your channel, and this is my first time ever writing you a Dear Nero question. Anyway, my question is, what is the weirdest thing a fan has done for you? Keep up the great work and have a wonderful day. From Charlie in New Jersey. So Charlie, the weirdest thing anyone's ever done for me, a fan that has done for me, is on Twitter a long time ago, and I still have the picture, and I'll be able to show it to you. When I quit smoking cigarettes, and this was like a year ago or so, a fan of mine who is a Canadian kid on Twitter, he drew me a picture of me throwing away cigarettes, and Bulbasaur, which was like my favorite Pokemon, he knew it was my favorite Pokemon, vomiting on them or doing something, maybe using like something like toxic or something on the cigarettes, I don't know. And there's a Minecraft sun in the background there. I think maybe at the time I was doing a Pokemon playthrough at the time, because I remember when I did my Pokemon Fire Red playthrough, I had a Bulbasaur. I started with a Bulbasaur, and I kept it Bulbasaur until it was time for the Elite Four, and then I evolved it. But maybe he just remembered my playthrough and decided to put Bulbasaur in there. But yeah, it was definitely the weirdest thing that someone's ever done, because I quit smoking. There's a picture of me. He's like, fuck you, smoking. I throw cigarettes on the ground while my Bulbasaur vomits purple stuff on it with a Minecraft sun in the background. Whenever someone like draws me a picture like this, like I have a bunch of different people that like do random fan mail stuff, and I like it. I like it when, it's not very often that people send me this kind of stuff, but when they do tweet it to me, because I don't have a P.O. box or anything, but when they tweet this stuff to me, it's always awesome. I always retweet and favorite it, and I like to go back to my favorites and just kind of read through this kind of stuff, and it's really neat. I like fandom stuff. It's really cool. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, not too long ago, Titanfall came out, and there was so much hype behind it, but it seems like it's already died out. What's your opinion? And this person did not leave his or her name. So I would agree that Titanfall's really seemed to die out. See, Titanfall itself is like, man, this game was like so innovative. It got wall running and jumping and double jumping and Titans running around, and it was a unique idea on the entire FPS genre. When you play a team deathmatch style game mode in that game, it's called attrition. And the AI, there's actually AI people running around, not just normal people. And so you got AI people running around, how they can affect the game as well. Like, they're not usually going to kill you, but be able to farm the AI as well as take out actual players, which are called pilots, and what you get for taking out Titans as well. It's all pretty interesting, the idea of what they did with Titanfall, and it was really fun for a little bit. But the thing about the game itself is that there was just really not enough to really want to keep a lot of people there, as well as a lot of my friends, which we were all playing Titanfall together. Like, we would have constantly running with a full party. One of the things that really kind of held people from wanting to play that game is the regen requirements. See, one of the things Call of Duty does well is they give you the prestige system. The prestige system's like the same thing every single year. You know, basically you get the max rank, and then you prestige, then you get yourself back to max rank, you get a new emblem, you get to unlock new challenges, and basically restart over and keep on going. I mean, people like the prestige system for the most part in Call of Duty. Well, Titanfall has the exact same thing, except to do that, not only do you have to go from, rank 1 to max rank, but you also have to do 5 or 6 regeneration requirements before you're allowed to actually regenerate and, enter a new generation in that game. And it sucks that that happens because they make you use guns you don't want to use, they make you use Titan weapons you don't want to use, they make you use equipment you don't want to use, and oftentimes it's a pain in the ass because I think it was the plasma railgun. I did not like that Titan weapon at all. It's just a bad Titan weapon. It took forever for me to be able to get that. And then the one prestige, I had to get 50 kills with the satchel charges, which are the equivalent to C4, which was also a pain in the ass to get. And I'm just like dying a lot more than I should because the game's forcing me to use this certain thing, and I know for a fact that a lot of my friends didn't like that, and that's the reason why they kind of just stopped playing Titanfall. Me personally, I got past it. I'm like, it's challenges, it's not the worst thing in the world, I like to play it, but the game itself is a pain in the ass if you want to try and play it by yourself, because people are just too busy wall running around to actually play the objective. And so when you play by yourself in that game, you have a big problem, which I called that back during the beta. I'm like, this is gonna be a team driven game. If you're facing a party on the other team and you're by yourself on your team, there's no way you can win. You can be the best player in the world, and if you're facing a party, good luck, because 9 out of 10 times you're not going to win. That's just how it is. So, I don't know. There's just not enough variety in the game. I think it ultimately boils down to the fact that there's like 10 primary weapons and like 5 secondary weapons, and, a $60 game, a $60 title that is multiplayer only. There's no campaign. There is a campaign, but that thing's a sham, right? That campaign's a sham. It's nothing. There's voice acting in there while you're playing multiplayer, and you oftentimes can't even hear the voice acting because you're running around in a Titan. So the campaign's nothing. You're paying $60, a full-priced game that's multiplayer only, that has 10 weapons, no form of customization whatsoever. It was bad. It turned out that it was a big disappointment. Titanfall 2 will probably be pretty good, but Titanfall 1 still feels like it's in beta. And that's probably why so many people, including myself, have just kind of stopped playing it. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I know you had a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2. I'm wondering why you didn't just get a PlayStation 3, and why did you pick an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One? Kieran from the UK, and I hope I pronounced that right. It's Kieran, Kieran. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So, okay, he's right. I had a PlayStation 1, I had a PlayStation 2, and then I went to the 360. Why did I do that? Well, the whole story of me getting into Call of Duty was I went over to my cousin's house one day, and he had an Xbox 360. I didn't even know he had one. I just happened to go to his house, and he was playing Call of Duty 3 on his Xbox 360. And Call of Duty 4 was coming out soon, like that year, and I was like all excited because I'm like playing this online shooter game with my cousin, and he's like, yeah man, so you buy an Xbox 360, you get Xbox Live, and we can play war games together, because I was a big fan of the Medal of Honor games, even though I never had internet connection to my PlayStation at my old house because I just didn't have internet there. So I was really into war games, but I always played them single player. So the idea of playing them like online with other people sounded amazing. I wanted to play with my cousin. And so for that Christmas, I was like, Mom, can I please have an Xbox 360? Please have an Xbox 360. And she got me a 360 for me and my brother to share. And that's why I didn't get a PS3. I got a 360 because I wanted to play with my cousin, and my friend Tyler also had one. And so the three of us, we went and played Call of Duty 4, kind of off and on. Then when World of War came out, we played it ridiculously. And on there, we met a bunch of people. We met Toucan, and we met Tryhard, which he doesn't really play much anymore. But we met a bunch of people there. Then, during Modern Warfare 2, we ended up meeting more people. We ended up meeting, like, Blue Bob, and we met Cypher, and we met... actually, I think Cypher was Black Ops. I don't know. We met a ton of people, prior, from all this. And the reason I got an Xbox One, it was the same reason, I said I was going to get it, is because I have a 360. I've had a 360 for many years, and I like the entire Xbox system. I tried out the PlayStation 3, and I didn't like it compared to the Xbox. I didn't like the user interface. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like the controller with how small it was. I didn't like a lot of things about it, and I was set in my ways of the 360 So I got an Xbox One, and I said it at the time, I'm like, this is how it's going to go. If you have a PS3, you're going to buy a PS4. It's how it works. If you have a 360, you're going to buy an Xbox One. Yeah, that's how it works. There's a few small people out there that probably, went from PS3 to Xbox One and went from 360 to PS4. But for the most part, that's not the case. For the most part, if you have a 360, you're buying an Xbox One, right? If you have a PS3, you're buying a PS4. That's how it worked, and don't even act like it didn't work that way. I guarantee you in the comments where you're watching this video, that's what happened. Or that's what's going to happen if you don't have a next-gen console, because people, they like their interface, they like their username, they like their gamer tags or whatever, the PSN IDs, they like their trophies, like their achievements, they like their system, and they're just going to get the next-gen version of that system for the most part, and that's really how it goes. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, if you could play only one video game for the rest of your life, what would it be? Keep up the awesome content, Joe from New Zealand. So Joe, one video game, rest of my life, one video game. Does this count multiplayer? Ah, hell, if it still counts multiplayer, I think it's still the same. So, damn it, it's tricky. It's tricky. I wrote this down because I thought this would be a good question. I knew I'd have to rack my brain. So I think I've answered this question before. I think the answer I gave was Skyrim, because there's so many things you can do with Skyrim. And Skyrim's definitely a possibility for this answer. Because there's so many things you can do in Skyrim. You every time you load up Skyrim, you can make a new character, and you can do whatever you want within that world. That's the beauty of an open world game. Borderlands 2 is really freaking good, but will I want to play it for the rest of my life? Oh God, Civilization 5 is something I've been playing a lot of lately, and that game will absorb you to the point where you've been playing for 7 hours and you haven't eaten or drank anything, and you're still playing. And you're like, oh my God, I gotta keep playing that. That's a really good game too. I think the answer is still Skyrim. I think the answer is still Skyrim on that. There's so many things you can do. You can play through the campaign, or you can go try and find the hundreds of hours of side quests that you've never even tried out before. There's so much things I haven't even done with that. It's ridiculous what you can do in Skyrim. So that's probably my answer. Next question, he writes. Dear Nero, I've noticed that games, consoles, and everything to do with gaming is so expensive, and I was wondering if you believe that the price of most gaming equipment is reasonable. Keep up the great work, Luke from New Zealand. So Luke, you think gaming is expensive? Well, man, I did a whole video on the cost of entertainment, and if you look at what gaming is, gaming in itself is actually a very cheap form of entertainment because you can put so many different hours into different things. Now, the initial startup cost, I would say for consoles or PCs and maybe video games, initially it's pretty expensive, but the longer you own them, the price per hour of what you're doing actually goes down and actually becomes relatively cheap as compared to other things like going to the movies or going to an amusement park or going to do anything else, even buying a DVD. As compared to that, their cost per hour for gaming is actually relatively cheap. Now, for example, it costs a lot to get like a decent gaming PC, right? And you get a gaming PC and you finally get it all set up. It can cost a lot. But I'm opening up Steam here, and I can tell you like the hours I have invested in the games as compared to how much they've actually cost, right? So the original Borderlands, I think I bought for $20 on Steam. I've got 23 hours into it. I've already beaten it on the console. I'm like replaying through it again here on the PC. So I've got 23 hours into that. That's a long time for a $20 game. That's less than $1 per hour. That paid to actually play that game. Borderlands 2. I don't know my numbers I could get on the 360, I guess, but I put a lot of time on this game on the 360, and then we bought it on Borderlands 2. Actually, it might have been gifted to me by Foxhound. No, I think I bought Borderlands 2, and Foxhound gifted me a skin or something. He gifted me Craig the Psycho. He did something, but I think I bought it during a summer sale, so I think it was either $20 or less than $20 for Borderlands 2. I have 273 hours in it. All right, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, 33 hours played in it. Call of Duty World at War, which I play a lot, Custom Zombies, so 287 hours. Skyrim, only 10 hours. I thought I played more than that on the PC. I played a ton on the console, but I thought I played more than 10 hours on the PC. Let's see what else we got here. Game Dev Tycoon, let's play that, 10 hours. Civilization 5, 52 hours. That game sucks you in. So if you think of Civilization 5, I bought the game for $30 and I put 52 hours into it. That's less than $1 per hour. It's almost like 50 cents an hour. So gaming itself, the initial startup price can be expensive. The initial price, that price of buying your console or buying your PC, that can kind of cost a lot. But how often you use your console, and that's just for that's for Netflix, that's for Hulu, that's for whatever apps you wanted to use on there. Your initial startup cost is going to cost you a lot. initially. But as time goes on, it's a good investment in terms of price per hour of entertainment. If you're looking for entertainment, buying gaming related stuff over time is pretty cheap. It's just that initial startup cost that can be a lot. The idea of $500 for a console or $400 for the PS3, it's actually not that. It's actually not a ton. I think it actually costs more for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, right? I'm not sure about that. I didn't buy them on launch. So that's not exactly very expensive. $60 for a full-fledged AAA title game, that's not a whole lot. If you go on Steam, if you're a PC gamer, you get so many different deals, and that's fantastic. And by the way, we could be getting the same cheap games and having the same sales on the Xbox, but everyone had to bark and bitch about the fact that the thing had to always be online. So think about that. If the Xbox One was like it was when they originally made the console and how it was before they changed everything about it because people were complaining, what they wanted to do with the Xbox One was basically make it Steam on the console. And that means cheap as shit games. Like if I were to go to the Steam store right now, let's just open up the Steam store here. I don't even know really how to navigate Steam that well. Outlast, the video game, is 66% off, and it's only $6.79 right now if I wanted to buy that. NBA 2K14. Do you like NBA 2K14? You guys like that new NBA game? Pretty expensive game though, right? 75% off. It's $7.49 right now on Steam. If you guys wanted to go pick that up, that's for today. It's gonna end in I can't see. Apparently it ends in 44 hours. So if you're watching this video, NBA 2K14 on your PC is $7.50. That is what we could be having on our consoles, but you guys had to always complain about it always being online. So, I don't know, that just sucks, man. You could have made it so on the Xbox One, not the PS4 because they never had this in mind, but on the Xbox One, we could have had it so you buy all these games, and you buy them really cheap with this whole Steam for Xbox system, and even if you can't connect to the internet, you can still play it in offline mode. You know, it could have been a thing. They could have fixed that part, and it could have just all worked. But nope, they get rid of it completely because people like to complain, people like to bitch. But yeah, gaming itself is not the cheap. It's not the most expensive thing in the world. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to start. But as time goes on, it gets gradually more cheap. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what's the longest time played you've ever had in a video game? Cameron from Missouri. So Cameron, I think it was Modern Warfare 2, and I put roughly 1,000 hours into that game. Yeah, I played a lot of Call of Duty that year. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, have you considered doing viewer battles on Pokemon X and Y and maybe live streaming them to Twitch? Patrick in Virginia. So Patrick, Pokemon X and Y, another game that has been ruined to me by modding. So I was really into Minecraft. I was super into Minecraft. If you guys watch Wade's Gamertag, I played on his server. And, oh man, it was really fun. I had so much fun for several months playing that game. And then I realized how easy it was, because this one guy like kept murdering us, so I realized how easy it was to install a modded client and get yourself kill aura and make it so you can see through walls and make it so you can like have an out-of-body experience and fly around the map while your body itself is staying on the ground. And so I installed this thing and I tried it out and I'm like, so this took 2 seconds to install and you get to cheat this badly. It makes you a god at PvP and you can see chests to the ground and you just, you know, run around, loot everybody. It was awful how easy it was to cheat in that game, right? So that really just turned me off Minecraft, made me not want to play it at all, because you're playing Yarn System with people on the internet. And Pokemon X and Y is the same thing. You can do all the EV training and IV breeding, and you can do everything you can do to make your Pokemon great. But at the end of the day, you can still lose to people that cheat and you mod in Pokemon because of the Pokebank, which is stupid. So, yeah, that was the thing. You know, I wanted that. I wanted to, like, you know, raise teams, you know, try different teams and, you know, play a lot. Maybe make the investment, you know, buy a capture card for my 3DS and, you know, live stream that kind of stuff. Maybe make videos for my Let's Play channel. But then Cypher came along and he got, you know, Pokemon X and he Pokegened in like 5 or so different Pokemon. And I'm like, wait, it was that easy to get perfect IV and perfect EV breeds for your Pokemon. And perfect natures, perfect everything. He's like, yep, just do that in like a couple seconds. I'm like, well, I'm done with this game. Because apparently, you know, the entire idea of facing people online is just going to, once again, you're playing the honored system with people on the internet. And people on the internet are going to cheat best they can. So Pokemon X and Y online, I wish I could like it, but I can't because people are cheap. Next and final question he's going to write, Dear Nero, last week you said that Madden 05 was more interactive compared to the newest Madden. My question is, have you tried NBA 2K14 for the Xbox One? It has more of these interactive features. Longtime subscriber and keep up the great work, Daniel from Arizona. So Daniel, NBA 2K14, it's actually funny, we were just talking about that. Have I played that game? I have, and it is like a ridiculously interactive story. Like it's like almost like watching a movie through parts of it, as well as playing a bunch of games. It is a really good system. For me, I kind of burnt myself out in NBA 2K14. I played a ton, and one thing I'll say this I don't like as much about NBA 2K14 as compared to the prior ones is in your My Player mode, you can't skip games. Like what I would do is, because there's 82 games in an NBA season, and these games take about 20 minutes or so each to complete when you're playing the game. And so you can see how long it would take. If you want to do a full career and enter the Hall of Fame, you would have to put a ridiculous amount of playtime in NBA 2K14. So what I would do on the prior games is I could simulate it, and I could only play the key games. Key games are against division rivals and other rivals and, things like that, right? And so I would only play against them, and that would, accelerate my season. It would simulate the other games, and it was kind of nice. You can't do that on 2K14, at least the last time I tried. You couldn't do it, and I don't know, it's kind of turned me off it, because what I wanted to do was like make my way several years into it, make my guy really good, have a bunch of different overall buffs and things like that, and get myself a mansion or whatever it is else you can do with the story, sponsorships and things like that. But it was taking so long. I had invested like a couple days worth of playtime into the game, and I'm only halfway through the first season, and I wanted to have like a 20-year career. And I was like, oh, this is a big time sink. And basketball is okay, but I'm not that into basketball. So I just kind of stopped playing it. But thank you guys for all your questions that were sent in this week's episode of Dear Nero. It was definitely fun doing this. A bit of a shorter episode. I feel as though it was a shorter episode. We're going to have to see once I crop all this stuff together. But it felt like a good one. I mean, a lot of the questions this week, like there wasn't a super amount of good questions sent in this week, because a lot of them were all pertaining around the same thing, which was called the Advanced Warfare. So I took the first one that I seen and answered it for you guys. A lot of you guys want to know about that new Call of Duty game. I gave you some opinions at the very beginning of the video. And then we got a bunch of other ones, and I answered all those as well. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of Dear Nero. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. And if you guys like to have your guys' questions featured on next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. Make a tele message, Dear Nero. If it's a good question, entertaining question, and above all, a question I've not yet answered before, I will do my best to go ahead and answer it for you guys. So I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.